Greetings, citizens, and thanks for tuning in to Nindie Nation episode 188. I'm Jeff, and today we're checking out the last few noteworthy releases during this amazing August of Nindies. Subscribe if you want to stay up to date on the best new games from independent developers, and stop by our Discord for Nindie news, eShop deals, and a healthy dose of stupid memes. If we missed something you're looking forward to, let us know down in the comments. And now, my friends, let's get right into it. These are the 8 new notable Nindies hitting the Nintendo Switch through Sunday, September 3rd. On Monday the 28th, we've got the latest by budget Nindie developer Origami Hero Games, as Heart Chain Kitty All Screwed Up releases for $4.99. With a broad library of titles ranging from ambitious 3D exploration to simple 2D platformers, Origami Hero makes all kinds of stuff, but it's the latter that I typically enjoy the most. You've got 25 levels to hop and bop your way through, with some boss fights and power-ups along the way. Now, this isn't going to set some kind of new standard for modern platformers, but if this is what you're in the mood for, I think you'll find it does the job nicely. But on Tuesday the 29th, y'all, I am so excited. On March 19th, 2020, a lot of stuff was happening, and most of it was pretty crappy. But over on Kickstarter, I threw my money at Sabotage Studios like it was going out of style because they finally announced their follow-up to the incredible action platformer The Messenger, and it was called Sea of Stars. To everyone's surprise, it wasn't another ninja-based action game, but a retro-inspired turn-based RPG drawing heavily from games like Chrono Trigger, my personal favorite game of all time. Set 1,000 years before the events of The Messenger, Sea of Stars follows 2 children who can harness the power of the sun and moon, and they use this so-called eclipse magic to ward off monsters created by the evil alchemist known as the Fleshmancer.
Ooh, that's spooky.
As you embark on your quest, you'll see just how inspired by Chrono Trigger this game is, with a 3-person party who can play off of each other's attacks, artwork and environments that look strikingly similar but add traversal elements like swimming and jumping, and not only is it all set to the backdrop of yet another outstanding soundtrack by Rainbow Dragon Eyes, whom you're hearing right now, but it even includes some guest compositions by Chrono Trigger's composer Yasunori Mitsuda. Crazy, right? And if that's not enough information for you, they released a demo over the summer that's still available on the eShop, and I think it's likely to convince all of you just how special this game is gonna be. I don't know, maybe it'll come out and be a dud, who knows, but I happen to think that we've got a Game of the Year contender on our hands, and my hands are shaking with excitement to play it when Sea of Stars releases for $34.99. Moving on to Thursday the 31st, maybe this isn't an indie, but France-based Chenko Studios sure is, so we'll go with it. It's a Wrap is a puzzle platformer where you play out cartoony action scenes based on 80s movies. When you fail, similar to Mario Maker, the camera zooms out and you're looking at a timeline, just like the one I'm looking at while editing this video right now. The various obstacles are laid out on the timeline, and you can move things around, like flowing lava, falling rocks, swinging spikes and lasers and all that kind of stuff, so that your character can make it through the scene alive. It's definitely a unique and clever idea, and the more I watch of it, the more I can tell this is much more puzzle platformer than it is some kind of skill-based action. That said, the action is very cartoony and pretty funny to watch. I don't know how long it is, that still remains to be seen, but it releases for $17.99. And I said I wasn't sure if it counted as an indie because, as it turns out, I was today years old when I learned that TV channel AMC had a games publishing division, and that's exactly who's publishing It's a Wrap. While Finnish studio Frozenbyte got their start with a couple of sci-fi PC games, it was 2009's Trine that put them on the map. After releasing sequels in 2011 and 2015, They took a break to release Has-Been Heroes and 9 Parchments before what I thought was going to be the final installment of Trine when Trine IV released in 2019. Well, guess what? They're back this week with the 2.5D action platformer, you guessed it, Trine V: A Clockwork Conspiracy. These games are largely known for their beautiful visuals, and even the original still holds up as a gorgeous game that's pretty fun to play. The premise follows 3 or 4 main characters with unique abilities that you'll switch between as each level and puzzle requires. You'll switch because of puzzles, doors, stuff like that, as well though as the enemy types you'll encounter. The story takes place over all 5 games, but beyond fantasy and magic stuff, I couldn't really tell you what it's about. In the latest entry, there's now side quests that can grant RPG-like upgrades, and for people who didn't care for the increasing amount of puzzles in the series, not only is Numero 5 touting itself as having the most action yet, but there's a new puzzle difficulty option that basically lets you minimize how much brain meat your adventure requires. It releases for $26.99, and I'm pretty sure that it's going to be a solid game, but gang, I cannot in good faith recommend it at that price because of how often I have to trudge through all of the Trine releases and the Trine bundles every time I'm looking through the eShop sales. So if you are interested, I'd say wait for a discount. And then a relatively new developer and publisher bring us a cute little puzzle game that combines elements of real-time strategy as Necro Boy Path to Evil Ship drops for $9.99. Developer Chillin' Wolf puts you in the shoes of a young necromancer on his way to becoming an evil lord. You do so by bringing your servants back to life to help you solve puzzles that seem to mostly involve pulling switches, pushing blocks, and that kind of stuff in an isometric perspective. The reviews so far are pretty positive, so it could be a fun time. And while they haven't published a lot on the Switch, there is a fairly positive track record so far for the publisher.
Gravity Game Arise!
Oh, is the name of our next game? Well, it's actually probably something closer to OO or OU since that's how it's spelled. It's a $17 point-and-click adventure that uses pen-drawn artwork to look like a children's book. And they do a really good job of pulling it off. Developed by Room 6 and published by
G-Mode!
You wake up without any idea of who or where you are and team up with Zeri, the possum with the flaming tail, to help you figure it all out. This isn't my style of game, though I will admit it looks pretty cool, so if anyone is thinking of picking this one up, please let me know how it is. In 2021, Hyper 3 Studio released Tiny Lands, a cheap spot-the-difference game that was simple in concept but pretty well executed. They're back this week with The Shape of Things, which takes another well-known concept, this time the Rubik's Cube, and puts it in a chill environment where you're piecing together real-world objects. Each level unlocks via a gacha machine, and your goal is just to take your time piecing items back together. If a small, chill puzzle game is what you're after this week, The Shape of Things releases for $5.59. And then last up this week is Ratalaika's usual Friday drop, this time teaming back up with one of their better developers, SumPX, and if you just so happen to be thinking,
what if Doom, but inside an alien sphincter?
Then Gastro Force is just what you need. After defeating an alien horde, there's only one monster remaining, but you gotta blow it up from inside, so up the poop chute you go. It's a classic low-poly Doom clone that features 30 levels, boss fights, and a weapon upgrade system, and it rounds out the week for $6.99. Nice. Definitely a shorter than usual week, but what do you think? Probably goes without saying that myself and many of you will be picking up Sea of Stars, but do we have any Trine diehards out there? What about citizens at the intersection of platformers and video editing who might want to give It's a Wrap a shot? Let me know down in the comments, and if one of the games I skipped over this week happens to be on your wish list, be sure to let me know. It seems like episode 189 is going to be all about interesting art styles, as we've got Chance of Sinar and the mini pieces of Mr. Koo bringing the puzzles, and I know Fae Farm is on a lot of your radars, so we'll hit that one too. But I gotta admit, the bizarre anime baseball rhythm game Kovacs Pitch definitely has my attention. But that's all for next time, citizens, because we're all done for today. Thanks for all of your support in helping us grow by watching, liking, subscribing, and sharing Nindie Nation with others. Until next week, I'm Jeff. This has been Nindie Nation episode 188. And remember, no matter what type of game you're looking for, Nindie Nation will be right here to help you find just the thing to keep your Joy-Cons synced.